Oh, there we go.
There you go.
Beautiful. I think that worked.
All right.
Good job, Gary.
They shouldn't move around these icons, though they at Zoom. But we got it started, so let's get going. Welcome everybody to the December 2023 special meeting of the Oak Hills Park Authority. I'm going to do roll call attendance just a little bit differently. Instead of having everybody announce, I'll just name off everybody who's here, especially for the minutes. I think that will help. We have myself, Joe Andrasco, the chair. We have Alan Dutton, vice chair. We have Denise Brown, treasurer. We have Rich Dellinger. We have Robert Stowers, and we have TJ Tremboli, and we have Gary Leeds as authority members present. So that exceeds the 5-person quorum, and so we can do business, which we have some tonight. We also have Jim Holliday, GM. We have Paul Alexander, the golf pro. We have Mark Gartner, the controller, and we have Jim Shell, the superintendent, as staff. And then we also have one attendee from the public, Kathleen Yeager, who's going to speak, I think, during public comment. I'm going to try to speak as little as possible because I've got a little something in my throat. And I think the first order of business is to make a motion to accept the minutes from the November 16th regular meeting. So I'll make a motion. Do I have a second?
Joe, there's some minor corrections for spelling. Do you want them?
Oh,
Should we make
sure,
a motion?
yeah. But well, let's just make the motion, second it, and then we discuss, and then we can vote on the motion. So do I have a second for the motion?
A second.
Okay, Denise seconds. Minor corrections on spelling. Yes. I think my name is spelled correctly in attendance and should be duplicated thereafter as Andrasko. That's what I noticed off the bat. And I saw a couple of other things, but Denise, why don't you go through with yours?
So under attendance for Alan, it says Alan, Dutton, so it just should say Alan Dutton. Schnell is spelt with an N, SCHNN, that should be updated. And Mark, let's see, Mark Gartner. The U shouldn't be there, correct, Mark?
Correct. Yeah, and that's for both Jim and I. That goes throughout the entire minutes. It's duplicated throughout incorrectly.
Okay. And then the other comment was in the committee reports for tennis. In the second paragraph, the only correction I saw was the UCA should be USTA, and that's in the second paragraph twice. So it should be USTA. And that's what I saw.
Also, Jim Shell should be moved down from attendance to other for staff.
Yeah.
Yes, right. Okay.
Any other comments on the minutes or changes that we need to see?
Just a small one for me. I have it on page 5 at the last paragraph says, Mr. Dellinger had questions about various issues with the Wi-Fi providers. It wasn't the Wi-Fi providers I had issues with. I was asking Jim about the emails that were connected to Optimum that were not going out. So as a matter, I had questions about if all the emails were actually being distributed.
So that
about
sentence can be Mr. Dellinger had questions about various issues with email accounts.
Emails is fine. Yep.
Okay. Any other changes? Okay. Then on the motion to approve these minutes, do we have any opposed? Any abstentions? All in favor, say aye. Or signal with your
Aye.
hands. Aye. And I think that's unanimous. So those minutes are approved as amended. And we can go on to report of the chair, which I will keep brief. The business of today is to approve our pricing and naturally get regular updates. It's a little quiet because it's winter, but there is some activity in terms of RFPs and getting contracts in order, as well as doing that business to approve pricing for the 2024 season. So I'm interested in that, and I know we did a view of this in last meeting, and some updates were made as per our comments, and we also got some good benchmarking analysis, which I've reviewed, and I'm excited to kind of hear what other people think about it. So without much further ado, I think the reports from the teams are more useful than my report, so I'm going to end it. And we can go right into public comment, item number 3. So I think we have one person, actually, just let me check if there's other participants and attendees. No, we have one person ready to speak. And please state your name, your address, and remember, we're going to try to keep public comments to about 3 minutes each. So let's go.
Okay, so my name is Kathleen Yeager. I live at 27 Honeysuckle Drive here in Norwalk, Connecticut. And I am currently the president of the Women's Golf Association. And it's very nice to see all of you. I don't know if you can see me. I can't see me, but you can all hear me. And I also was a retired teacher from Norwalk Public Schools, working there for almost 39 years. So Robert, I do know them pulling you each this way and that way for all kinds of meetings. So I'm glad to see you here. Anyway, I just wanted to introduce myself, and before the 2023 season ended, or the year ended, just to say thank you for everything that you've done and getting together, and the communication that's going on, and all of the hard work that you're doing. And I'll at the course and also at the tennis. It's great to see that tennis court being used, and to have a USGA event was really amazing, and so glad that that's happening. Your efforts and your accomplishments have been noticed by the community, and certainly by our association. And I just wanted you to all know that. I also like to give a special shout out to Paul and Mark and Jim, and especially Steve Shepard. As we all know, he is such a great man with so many talents, and has really helped us to move forward. So with that said, happy holidays, and continue your great work, and a happy blessed New Year's. And I'm looking forward to golfing in the 2024 season. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Kathleen.
Thank you,
Same
Kathleen.
to you.
Happy holidays.
You too. Thank you.
So no other attendees, so I will close public comment. And I mixed up the order. I did report of the chair first, but that's okay. We can launch into management reports. We can do start off with the golf professional, Paul Alexander.
Thank you, Joe.
Yeah.
All right. Well, winter is almost upon us. Temperatures continue to drop. All the leaves on the golf course are down, and the course is very clean, free from leaves, and that really makes a lot of the golfers happy. I heard some great comments on how clean it is. which is a difficult job due to all the trees we have out there. So the golf shop is open from 9:30 in the morning to 3 o'clock. The course is open from 10 in the morning to 3. We were seeing a few golfers during the week, but most play 10 o'clock to 1 o'clock on the weekends if the weather permits. The bag drop is closed for the season. We have 5 golf shop staff members on the schedule and 3 outside staff members on our schedule, making that a total of 8 people over these winter months. We've moved golfers to temporary winter tees today. Greens are still open, and we are charging golfers off-peak member rates. Tentative 2024 golf rates have been completed and will be proposed. Year inventory for the golf shop has been finalized. The old golf shop at the first tee has been fully carpeted and completely renovated. And 2023 has been a very successful year, prosperous for Oak Hills Park, and we anticipate and look forward to a great golf season for 2024. That's all I have. If anyone has any questions, be glad to answer anything.
Anyone have any questions for Paul?
Well, what are we doing with the old pro shop?
At the moment, we have Mike Grabsardi gives winter lessons in there. Jimmy Holiday has an office in there. Tom Sacco is kind of one of our key outside staff figures. He also has an office in there, and we're just making use of pretty much every room in the building.
Okay, thanks.
Anything else for Paul? Okay,
Thanks,
short
Paul.
but sweet, Paul. Thank you.
Thank you.
We can move on to the report of the superintendent, Jim Shell.
Okay, guys, I don't have too much to report tonight other than we are on temporary tees. You know, grass stops growing. We have to stop beating them up all winter long. So, I mean, for the amount of golfers we have, I don't think it's that big a deal. Winterization of everything, like the outbuildings that don't have heat and the irrigation lines, that's all done. And the tennis court parking lot has been blocked off with chains just to keep out any strangers that, you know, want to pull over and dump their garbage out the side of their door. It always happens. We had put some sod down on a few tees. Came out fairly well, and hopefully come springtime when we open everything up, they'll be ready to go. Likely there might be a little bit of a wait, but we're hoping not. The bunker project invitation to bid was posted on the 12th. There was a walkthrough yesterday, even though we didn't do any walkthrough. A couple contractors did show up here at my shop, along with Chris, the purchasing agent from the city. And we sat down around my computer and I just showed them everything, all the little details about the job on Google Maps. 2 showed up. 1 company has already submitted, and I suspect there's going to be a 4th that's going to submit as well. It wasn't a required meeting, but 2 did in fact show up. They're due. The deadline is January 11th, and I'd like to form, I don't know, I'd like to get a few people to volunteer to meet, hopefully the 12th, and discuss the bids if they come in, you know, close, or we have to decide somehow. So I don't quite know how to handle that, if we're going to form a like a committee to decide. I think that maybe TJ should be on it. I think that Gary should probably be on it. If anybody else wants to, I don't know how necessary that is, but I think we're gonna be close to where I thought we were before we went through the city. And other than that, I really don't have anything else to report.
Okay. Jim, I think my suggestion would be to kind of solicit to those folks that you think would be good on that deciding or, kind of procurement body. We'll go through the proposals at our regular January meeting, or is that your plan, is to go through the proposals at our regular January meeting and vote on it, or are we going to have to come to a decision before that?
Oh, I guess we could. I mean, the 12th is only 6 days shy of our meeting in January, so
Right.
that'll work.
Okay. This seems like well, this seems like a longer timeline than you had communicated
Yeah,
you
it
needed
is.
last time. Was it really not possible to accelerate this any faster?
Not going through, I mean, there was a 2-week delay in even getting a response from the city on, getting this set up. I mean, I understand everybody's busy, but
Yeah.
the 3-week turnaround turned into a 3-week wait to even get it posted. So,
And then I'm surprised. I thought we kind of, well, I was left to understand that, the window to close the RFP process would be much shorter than 30 days. Was 30 days like a non-negotiable standard, or?
I don't have an answer for you on that one. I mean, I think that would have to come from the purchasing department.
Okay. I didn't,
I
just in
did-
case you picked up that info along the way. That's why I was asking.
I
Okay.
had the specs into the city the Monday after our last meeting.
Yeah,
and
I
it
trust that.
took this long to get where we are now.
Yeah, it's a little disappointing. I think we even had a resolution, something to the fact that we thought we'd have the bids by mid-December or something like that. And
Yeah.
this is a month later than I expected, so it's disappointing to hear that. Sorry about that, Jim.
Hey, it is what it is. I think we'll be all right though.
That's good. Yeah, that's the silver lining, I suppose.
Yeah.
Have you communicated with that company that you're interested in that bid on you, that gave you the bid very early?
They're the ones that have submitted already.
Okay. That's good.
Yep.
Okay, anything else for Jim?
Thanks for going through the process. Sorry about the delay, but
No worries.
Okay, then moving on, we can go to the report of the controller, Mark Gartner.
Thanks, Joe. Yeah, as you can see from my report, we continue to remain profitable and above budget, but obviously now as we go into the off-season months, those numbers will be very small. So even if we don't beat budget, we're really talking pennies here. And we will begin to lose money, and that's the normal part of a seasonal business like this. The only other thing I'll add is that some of our large capital projects are a little bit front-loaded, at least according to what I had predicted for the budget. So you'll see. What does that mean? It means you'll see us being overspent on the capital line versus budget. And what it will most likely mean is that I'll need to look in January to probably move some money back from Bankwell, because I think we're going to go through it. We had Jim will tell you, because he handed me the bills. The good thing is that we got that paving that we had talked about a few months ago. That was all done in November, and now the 4 big storage units at the maintenance facility are done as well. So some big items that we've been talking about for a while actually getting done, which is great, but costs money. So we're going to see that bank balance come down, and I'll just transfer some money over, because we're not going to most likely make it through to March without with the current balance in Norwalk Bank and Trust.
Well, from a budget point of view, we're still within our budgeted capital project for fiscal 2023-24.
Yeah. No, if we were in danger of going over the total budget for the year, you guys would know about it way ahead of now. So
Yeah, so it's a cash issue, not a budget issue. Right?
It's timing. It's really just timing. And it's everything that that's in the budget for the capital for line by line for capital. So there's nothing crazy. It's just happening a few months earlier than I'd expected at a time where we're going into losing money on top of it. So our cash balance is just going to keep climbing down, 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 but nothing to be worried about.
Got it.
So Mark, do you think you'll be using the reserve money, or do you think you'll have to go into like the money market or anything?
I don't want to touch that reserve money. That to me is for really for emergencies only. So I'm gonna move the money that we have at Bankwell and the money market there. I'll look at where we are, but 50 to even more thousand to move back over. I'm hoping that gets us through just 50, but I don't know yet.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Anything else for Mark? All right, thank you, Mark. Now we can hear from Jim Holiday, the GM.
Thanks, Joe. My report is, of course, included in the agenda, and it's a lot of little stuff and lots of work having to do with the RFP and a lot of communication, which I think is really we're getting very good response to that. Kathleen appreciated it, and I think many others do as well. And I'm not going to read the whole list. You got it there, folks. If anybody has any questions, I'm certainly open to answer.
All right, just a couple, Jim. The 6 streetlights, where are the 6 streetlights?
There are 2 in the upper parking, 3 in the upper parking lot and 3 in the main golfers parking lot.
And I was curious about the injured worker, the workman's comp thing. I mean, is it a serious thing? I can't get into the names, I would suspect, but I mean, how's that work?
Yeah, no specifics,
not.
please.
I certainly hope not. It was, I will tell you this, he's okay. He's getting treatment. It was in the summer, and the cause has been resolved. And the cause was an uneven asphalt area. So he's certainly going to be okay, seeking minor treatment, and the cause has been mitigated. It has been alleviated. It's gone.
Good. All right, thanks.
Any other questions for Jim? Okay. On that, RFP, you're specifically speaking about the restaurant RFP. I think, is that right?
That is correct.
Okay. So we'll hear more about that later when we go to restaurant committee report. Okay. Then we can move on in the agenda to committee reports. And as per our custom, we start off with tennis and Denise.
Hi, everybody. I don't have too much. I met with the Land Use and Building Committee on December 6th, and the committee unanimously approved the naming of the court for Arthur's Court. So that was a very simple vote, which I was happy to hear. And then there's a public hearing January 3rd, which I think is just a very short meeting. And then that will be all set. And we could probably plan, if we would like to plan something in the spring for the dedication for art. So that's finally taken care of. And then, so currently we have a tennis proposal that was sent, Jim Holiday sent it out to a company called Walsh Company. The Friends of Tennis had met and we agreed on that proposal, which is in the process. It went from Walsh Company to us, and then we sent it to the USTA for their approval because their facilities review, their technical review have looked at it, and they came back to us with questions, which then we'll turn around and get the answers to them. Jim Holiday is in the process of getting that. And they also want a review of our program that we had our past programs and any new programs. So we're going to work on putting that together. So all of this will go towards the application when we're applying for the grant with the USDA for the facility repairs, which can be up to $18,000. So, I mean, that's being worked on, and it'll probably take another couple of months, but hopefully we would have that all figured out and settled by the spring. And thank you, Jim, for getting the nets down. Is everything in the tennis office building?
Barely. I mean, that place is can of sardines right now.
Yeah.
And the
Okay.
ice maker is in my shop as usual. I don't even know if they use that anymore, but
So what's in your shop?
the ice maker that was in the closet,
Oh, we should throw that away, I think.
are they not using it? Well, it's not ours, so we
Oh.
should talk to Barb possibly about.
I don't know if ice has been made, but I don't think it's been used in years. I think it's been there for years, but not used for years.
Okay.
All right.
Pre-COVID.
Yeah. That's it for my report. Thank you. If anybody has questions.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Denise. I know Jerry Crowley couldn't be here, so we don't have a report from supporters, and I don't think we'll have a report from the Nature Advisory Committee either. So we can go into item number 7, the 2024 rate hearing. And I think, Mark, you said that you're going to share your screen and materials.
Sir. Okay.
Okay, we're seeing it.
Paul, do you want to start in with these guys here?
Sure. I could briefly say, speaking for a little bit for Jim Holiday and Mark and Jim Shell, that we kind of all felt things were really going good at Oak Hills. We're doing fairly well. And, we just didn't feel a need to make any major increases.
Yeah.
Rather than raise prices, I think if we can continue to offer our golfers nice amenities, beautiful playing conditions, and really good customer service and attentiveness to their needs, I think we'll maintain a high level of golfers coming to the course, and we'll do very well. So obviously you can see, and this is kind of in line with years past where we really made nominal increases every year. So you can see really not much there. And I think we all felt, we wanted to be fair to the golfers here and also to Oak Hills as well. And see, the future is still going well for Oak Hills, continue to get plenty of golfers to come play the course.
Yeah, I agree with you, Paul. And I think as long as people understand that, we're still seeing a rise in costs and, fuel surcharges, transportation surcharges. And when you think about we're going to put about $274,000 back into the course in the form of capital improvements this year, plus quite a bit in commercial debt, in commercial financing for a lot newer vehicles for Jim and his crew. So, we got to raise prices. And I think, as Paul said, it's pretty nominal, small amount, $1 here, $2 there. And the same thing goes along with the passes here. You can see everything right here is the increases. The only reason junior's a little off there, we hadn't raised junior prices since it started, I don't think. So we just small percentage in there. And I think I mentioned this last month, but the analysis I did on season passes did show that we were profitable with offering them. So I know it's been discussed. Do we want to take them away? From my perspective, just from an accounting perspective, it's making money, so I like it.
I wanted to add to the season pass. I think some of us were a little on the fence of offering or not, but after thinking about, the culture of our club and what's really going on with some of our locals and our men's association, we're really creating again, like we might have had years past, just a good core group of golfers at the club. And I think our annual pass helps us achieve that. So it's given us a kind of a nice feel around the golf course.
I got two questions here. How many non-resident unlimited passes were sold last year?
Mark might have those numbers, but I'm going to say that we really cater to the locals in Norwalk, and it's not too many, believe it or not, to our neighboring communities.
So
Sorry, hold
I think
on.
there's room for improvement there.
I'm just wondering should we really offer a non-resident unlimited pass? Number one, most of when you did your comparison, don't have an unlimited, and I'm just wondering why we offer a non-resident one. Are there any of the real core golfers that you're talking about, Paul, are non-resident?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we do have some non-residents, but I think it's a very low number. I'm actually surprised at how low it is.
Okay, Mark, maybe you can send that out later. And the other thing, when we look at our rates, do we have too many rate levels? You have your peak, your non-peak, your twilight. What's the difference between your off-peak and your twilight timing? What time of day and all of that? And do we really need so many rate rate differences?
I would say we do have a lot of them. And we do have some people who do wait for the off-peak rates. Sometimes during the season, we move those depending upon how much sunlight is during the day, as well as the twilight too. Basically, twilight, we want to try to get the golfers more than 9 holes, say about 13 maybe. At a twilight rate though, you're definitely not guaranteed to play 18 holes. An off-peak rate, we did discuss getting rid of it.
Yeah, I was just I'll jump in real quick. Yeah, Gary, I don't think you were at the meeting last month, but we were actually proposing to get rid of off-peak altogether, and then it was kind of discussed to say, well, maybe we'll phase it out. But as it was right there, the disparity between peak and twilight was a huge drop off. So I think we just need to discuss, Paul and Jim and me and everybody, and try to figure out the proper way to limit the number of categories.
The one thing I did want to say about the off-peak, thinking about it since our last meeting, when we charge somebody a peak rate, which is really our rack rate, it's the most expensive rate, we have to guarantee them 18 holes. An off-peak rate, you're not necessarily going to get that 18 holes in. You might, but you might not. And I think if we were to get rid of an off-peak rate, you'd have some people playing a lot of holes for twilight golf, more than probably they should. And then we might have some people who pay at a high weekend rate or something, and because of slow play, they may not get in those 18 holes at a peak rate. I think, that's why the off-peak was there. And in years past, we definitely didn't have the amount of play, so we tried to discount it somewhat and have some people play in the afternoon.
So yeah, at the last meeting, we discussed, I think the initial proposal was to get rid of off-peak. Mark, if you go back to the comparison to 2023, we discussed kind of easing out of it. And I think that was by kind of a larger increase on the off-peak to bring it closer to peak, or at least kind of less towards the twilight. And I'm only seeing $1 or so here. And I'm wondering if there's more room to kind of do that, easing into it by bringing it a little closer to the peak rates. That's my thought. As we go towards this, it was kind of a test, see how the market responded to it, and then see if the market was there for just full peak versus and twilight only, then we would consider getting rid of it in a future year.
So you're saying instead of just the dollar that we kind of have across the board, put a few extra dollars in there for the off-peak?
That was what my thinking was, coming out of that. That's what was meant by easing into it, or easing out of it, I suppose.
You know, and another thing we could do would be, we typically last few years have had it off peak for 2 hours, let's say 3 to 5 or 2 to 4, but we can limit that to 1 hour.
Yeah, and I think, you know, this is, as long as that's communicated and people understand it and can plan for that, I think that's okay, and that's operational on your side of the fence. So, you know, let you manage that as you see fit, and somewhat in response to how people are picking up on it. So, I mean, this is kind of dynamic, right? This is not something that is values only. So this would be that would be something you could do right now, right?
Yeah.
Or is that something we want to avoid doing? Because I'd like to kind of have something in front of us that we could vote on. Jerry, is this making sense to you? I know you had the question on it, so.
And I just want, I remember us talking about it, last time, but when I looked at it closer, the hours, the schedule, one of them is like, 1:30 is off peak, and then 2:30 is twilight or something like that. I can't remember, exactly. It just seems, I don't know how your people in the in the pro shop handle these peak and off peaks. I guess it's all into the computer, but it just seemed confusing. And that's all. I mean, I'm happy to let it go. You guys manage it. See what you're getting. It'd be nice to hear, Paul, during the season you give us feedback about people are happy with the off peak, or the twilight, or whatever. So
I can say we do get a lot of twilight golfers. We definitely get some off peak. There's a lot of people, kind of like myself, enjoy playing in the afternoon. But one thing we do is we monitor it very closely. So like I said, twilight, 13 holes, depending upon the sunset, we'll put that twilight at that time, and off peak as well, where it might come close to finishing 18 holes.
Mm-hmm.
So we kind of move it around, and then our tee sheet program, Golf Now is aware of those rates, and it's automatically updated on our tee sheet. And then we also, just to remind everybody too, through Golf Now, we have dynamic pricing. So if we do have some available tee times in the afternoon, on a moment's notice, their algorithms lower the price on Golf Now, and those rates you get online.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, if the Golf Now is managing it, then that's fine.
I will say that I do have Golf Now's doing an analysis and a year-end analysis for us.
Right.
They're waiting till I think the 23rd to get information. They'll also let us know what's going on in the rest of the country as well. And I can also talk to him about his, which I have in the past, his views or their views on off peak. And I do believe he said we did have a lot of rates here. If we can condense them a little, it might be in our best interest.
Okay. Sounds like a good idea.
Paul, what time do you consider twilight?
Okay, so in the fall, when the sun's going down at 5:30, we might have twilight start at 3:30. But in the middle of the summer, you can tee off at 3:30 and play 18 holes. So therefore, our twilight rate might go to 5:30 in the middle of June and July. So it'll change throughout the season depending upon daylight.
Okay.
Yeah, typically Twilight, you can play more than 9, but you really can't play 16, 15 holes. 13.
So that matches the 9-hole rate, so that if they only get in 9 holes.
Well, more often than not, we only sell our 9-hole rate early in the morning, the first hour of the day.
Uh-huh.
And anybody coming in the afternoon typically is a Twilight rate, meaning we don't sell any 9-hole rates in the evening.
But I think, Denise, to the spirit of your question, yeah, they're kind of
Yeah.
similar because of that
$1
reason.
Price points.
Yeah,
So,
just a realistic view of how much golf you're going to get in.
okay.
And one thing I will say about the rates, I do like the fact that you have your junior rates at the level that you do. I know you've got a good junior program going, and I think that's really favorable.
Yeah, thank you. I have heard, that the kids also, the mothers tell me they just love playing Oak Hills. There's other choices they can go. We have a lot of kids in our program who aren't from Norwalk, but they come to Oak Hills. And I know we haven't changed these rates. They're more than fair for juniors. If we wanted to increase those a little bit, we probably could. And I will say that, it's interesting. This was a great year. 12 years, we've been doing the junior program there. Most of these kids were 7-year-old when I first met them. Now they're 19 and they're driving and they're bringing their friends and they're in college. And it's taken 10 years really to see the difference. But it's really strong and healthy. And our main goal as PGA professionals is to grow the game. And we're trying to just get young people into the game quicker than some of the older people are exiting it, so we can keep golf healthy.
Maybe you can use that as a selling point during the year.
Oh, yeah.
So if we're because we're gonna vote on this tonight, if there's any change that we want to make to these off peak right now, does anybody have any suggestions?
No, I'm fine with what you have, and I like the idea you're going to monitor it. I just like to hear about it during the year, and I'm fine with the rates that you got proposed.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I have one comment, if I may. People talk using a rate. Jim Shell reminded me this afternoon that we can drop rates at any time. We can't increase them. So that if there was a thought to increasing a particular, perhaps the off-peak weekday, then the time to do so would be now, because we can look during the season, perhaps in the middle of June, to see if we are negatively impacted and we want to drop the rate back down by $1. I'm not suggesting that this is something that should be done this year, because a lot of thought has gone into this, and we are in sync with each other. That is Paul, Mark, and myself, and certainly Jim Shell. But I just want to pass it out there.
Jim, I think that's a great point to make. So yeah.
I just don't think it's a great idea to be posting rates and then if you have to dropping them substantially. I don't know. It's great we can do it, but I don't know if we should artificially increase them with the idea that we could drop them if we have to. I'm not sure that's a great idea or not. My 2 cents.
That's a good point as well.
Well, you can remember too that the dynamic pricing will probably more than likely accomplish the same thing.
Yeah, for people who bought through golf now, right?
And it's typically a $1 to $3 difference.
Yep.
Paul, does the dynamic pricing come through like a special? Does it have anything or is it just like all of a sudden somebody logs on to
I would say
time and it's cheaper for?
Yeah. So if you log on at tee time and it's typically day of, and you might see the normal rate of say $50. And it's getting closer to that tee time, they're going to drop that to $48 or $47 to encourage the sale.
Is that common with other courses, or is that just through Golf Now that what they're doing? for you, for,
I would say it's not so common at other golf courses, and even a lot of people who do with Golf Now, they don't have this, so they were kind enough to include this in our package.
This is Robert. Our municipal golf courses in Seattle, we use dynamic pricing, but it was only done after we had a recreational economist do a real price elasticity study on all our courses, and then we set the prices, and then dynamic pricing takes over from there. But it is done in other courses.
And Paul, just refresh our memories. How many rounds are we getting from Golf Now? What was the percentage?
It's a large percentage, and I think he'll have those numbers for me in less than a week. But I know we're up about 10% from last year, so they really are driving a lot of people to our golf course.
Yeah, and when we went live with G1 or Golf 365 or whatever it is now last March, the amount of traffic that came our way from Golf Now, I mean, I don't know if tripled is the right word, but it increased substantially.
Yeah, I would say almost tripled.
Yeah.
And I think we're also getting golfers through Golf Now that are farther away than years past. I mean, now they're willing to drive. It puts Oak Hill's name out there, and obviously, I think our course conditions, we're getting a reputation, so people are willing to drive.
I'm seeing there's a lot of gift card purchases through the online store this time of year before the holidays. And I'm seeing the addresses. I'm sending it out to Massachusetts, upstate Connecticut, New York City, Jersey. So, of course, these are gift cards. They could be from family members, but it's nice that the surrounding, the tri-state area and more know about us.
Let's get those bunkers fixed.
So I did a quick group of calculations, Mark, on the idea that I had was take for weekday and weekend separately, take the average of peak and twilight, round it down, and subtract 1 to get the off peak. It's actually pretty close. But there are some exceptions where we're actually already above, and that seems to be affecting excuse me, seniors and juniors. So the prices, if we just use that rule, would come down for seniors and juniors, and it would go up $1 more or stay where it is for everybody else. I just want to make sure that makes sense. Mostly on the weekend. For instance, the resident senior discount card is at 33. The average of the peak and twilight is 31.5. So if you round that down to 31 and then subtract 1, you get 30. So I don't know if that rule makes sense. It's just kind of a quick, easy way to calculate what the rate might be, and then we would right size some of these.
Okay. Is that something you're proposing that we do right now before we, or will there be if there's a vote right now, do we have to accept these as is?
We have to determine what the pricing should be and then make a motion and vote on that pricing.
So I can do the actual calculations if we decide that that's the way we're going to move. I could do them later, in other words.
Yeah, or I could read off a string of numbers to you. You type them in, and we actually get to look at it. But if this is not a route we want to go down, if people are all happy with these rates, that's fine. I'm a mathematician by training, so I like nice, hard, fast rules. And then you can also kind of explain why we have this rate a little bit more easily. So any feedback on what I just proposed, or is it
So
really?
just from a pure numbers point of view, and maybe hard to say, if we increase, we're talking about increasing it like by the dollar or something like that, Joe. What would be the effect? Are we talking 5,000, 10,000, 500? I'm trying to figure what the effect might be on our revenue if you did this. Might be hard to figure out. I'm not sure.
I think it would be without an estimate of the rounds that are going to be played in each category.
Yeah.
So it would still be a net increase, I'm sure, just like we're seeing now. But this is just an idea out there for consideration. No need to pursue it.
Now, for me, I'm not the mathematician that you are, but as an accountant who deals with math and numbers all the time, I also like having a rule in place. So doing something like that I have no objection to. I'll put it that way.
I think we, I think we ought to stick with what we have. And if it's that important as we go forward, we should really know what the impact of a rate change on our total revenue and projected golfers and all that type of stuff. And that starts getting into a pretty detailed analysis of the type of golfers we have, when they're playing. The tee sheet on the weekends is usually full. I don't know how people decide, if the only time they can get is 1 o'clock, whether they really know that the rate is different at 1 o'clock, or if they got the time at 3 o'clock that it would be a different rate. So I don't know if that's a deciding factor, for people when they're signing up for a golf round.
Sure.
Maybe golf now influences some of that, but I suspect, you're glad to have a tee time. And if the rate is what it is. So, without a real detailed analysis, maybe, over the next year, we should do a little more, look at what some of these rates are impacting, or whether we get any comments at the pro shop saying this is ridiculous, you guys, your rates are crazy, or whatever. But I think we stick with what we have for now.
I don't mind that.
Yeah.
I kind of agree with Gary, because if you don't really have a detailed analysis, if you don't really have a basis to build the pricing model, then we're just guessing. And one who has done a lot of fee studies, and I'm doing one right now for parks. They really work, and they tell you a lot. They tell you a lot about when people would stop participating, at what point they'll stop participating, at what point you'll get more attendance, at what point you'll get less attendance, at what point you'll make more money but maybe get less attendance. It's at one point where you'll get more participation but less money. It depends on what you're trying to achieve.
Yeah.
So I think this is something that should be a part. As Gary said, I think it should maybe be a part of the master plan, because it's really a if you bring in someone to do that specializes in this, it should be part of a master plan. But anyway, that's just so I would think we just stick with what we have, right?
Okay.
I mean, seeing.
Yeah, and I was going to say the same thing. Basically, I just don't like being impulsive about this. I think if the major players came up with this rate, and from looking at the rates increases, they're modest. I'm a little more comfortable just going with what was proposed.
Okay. Anybody else have thoughts on that? I'm, again, perfectly happy with that.
I'm pretty good at VR, Joe, I think.
Okay. Shall we look at the benchmarking that was done? Before we kind of go into a vote.
Sure.
Sure, that's
Yeah,
fine.
I'm interested in a little bit more detail about it.
Apologies. Did you want the presentation, or do you want the actual numbers here?
Yeah, there was a PowerPoint and an Excel. I think, is Paul going to be presenting it? Which would he prefer to go through?
I think Mark can do it there. You can do it, Mark?
I didn't put any of this together, Paul. This was you.
Yeah, but Mark, you can present it, right? And Paul can speak to it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Here we go.
The one thing that I picked out of the Excel, Paul, was that we do seem to have one of the higher price points with regard in the context of the other courses around. And
Yeah.
I just wanted to confirm that that's kind of what you pulled out of it as well. It's on par. It's at the high. It's not well above. But I just wanted to confirm that's the understanding that you got out of it as well.
Oh, yeah. I think we've actually been that way for the last couple of years.
I think it has, yeah. I know we took one big bite a couple of years ago to adjust to some cost pressures that we had. And then we've been really modest since then.
Yeah, and I think as far as looking at some of the other golf courses and their pricing, you know, we're in a great location, and we have some great neighboring towns who really support us.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Stanford's a big city, Bridgeport. You know, but the one thing that we don't have really to help offset pricing is a range. And you know, so I think when you want to compare us to Sterling, I mean, they can probably keep their prices a little more reasonable, knowing that they're making so much money on the range. And I do anticipate, you know, when we get a really good restaurant, we'll be open a lot and doing some golf events with us. I think that'll bring an increase of revenue for Greens Feast as well.
So
Mark, are we able to pull up that file or either of the files?
I had the other one up, and now you guys were talking about the pricing, so I put this one up here. So you go.
Oh, Mark, I think you may be sharing this file, and the new files are not coming up on the share.
Oh, okay. That's what I was wondering. Yeah. I don't know why. Hold on. Let me stop sharing.
Yep. I do it about 4 times a day at work, so that's how I know what's going on.
Gotcha. Yeah, I was toggling between the Excel and the presentation. So I will start with the PowerPoint presentation. Can everyone see this now?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
So obviously you can see here, a lot of Mondays we have outings, slower days of the week obviously are during the week. That's where we really want to concentrate on maintaining, you know, play. But, you know, to tell you the truth, last year and this year, we've had Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays were almost as busy as the weekends. I think Golf Now is saying they might see a little bit of a slowdown in 2024. But if anybody has any questions on any of this here.
No, and I think one of the things that kind of justifies the price point is that rating. You know, kind of towards the top, only Richter beating it.
Is 4 the highest?
Yeah.
I didn't play Richter last year, but the last time I played it, the greens and whatever had the fungus and stuff. Have they recovered that course and it's back to comparable to our course?
Rating is current, Gary.
Yeah, but so Paul, did you play Richter last year?
Oh, no, I didn't play it. I haven't played there in a couple of years.
Yeah, okay. Well, I know at one point it was in the top 100 in the nation or something in public courses. I don't know if it's still there, but I played it a couple of years ago and conditions were really disappointing.
I
But
think a lot of the times the top 100 ratings are a lot based on architecture,
yeah,
not necessarily everything else.
okay.
Sure.
Is this rating with the US Golf rating of courses all across the country, or where's the rating come from?
I think this is the state of Connecticut.
Okay.
I think the caption down there is New England Golf Guide 34th Annual. So I would assume it's largely New England courses.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So you can see also, you know, a lot of these courses are really not within driving distance of Manhattan as well as Oak Hills is. And I think, you know, that's keeping us busy here. And obviously, as closer you get to New York City, the prices of any commodity goes up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just curious, there's no comments for the Oak Hills course. Is there any reason there's no comments at all?
Well, we know it so well.
Wow, I know. I thought
No, I
this
don't think.
New England golf. I mean, from New England golf's perspective.
Yeah. But Paul, were those your added comments, or were they from the golf guide?
No, those were not my comments. No, I'm not sure where they came from.
Oh,
But obviously, Steve Shepard did a lot of some of this research for us. He really did a great job. I want to thank him for that.
okay.
Understand.
Could be. I got it.
And
Anonymous comments. Okay, Paul, anything else to take from this page, number 3?
I don't think so.
Anything from 4? It's just a rundown of kind of what rates qualify as what.
Keep it going, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, you know, we've done really well ever since COVID, and this is some really good, useful information, not only for us but for all our neighboring courses in the area. But again, I think, you know, things are going well, and we really plan to attract even more golfers. That we kind of just kept everything the same and made a nominal increase.
Okay, and we know that our special passes, the season passes, are a little unique, right?
Yeah, they're definitely unique, and you know, I was apprehensive about them. Now that we're doing well, and we get a lot of people playing golf, you know, we thought maybe we didn't need them, but actually, it's, you know, it's kind of helping Oak Hills if we get a lot of rain or something happens in the foreseeable future. Also, it's really helping create a nice core of golfers at the club who really play a lot. Even though we're a municipality or a public golf, you know, we've kind of got a nice core group of people there.
Okay. So why don't we round this up with any specific questions that people had when they were reviewing it? And if there are none, we can go back to the rate sheets. Okay. Mark, if you don't mind going back to the rate sheet.
It's up. Can you see it?
No.
This is the one page with proposed rates. Would you like to see the comparison page?
No, but just to sum up, I think they're pretty modest increases, right? It's a $1 in spots for the greens fees, flat on carts, and then kind of modest percentage increases on season passes. So nothing drastic here. I think we're still maintaining accessibility while, oh yeah, and ID cards, $5 across the board. So we're still maintaining accessibility while also, kind of coming to grips with the reality that everything in the operations of the park is costing more as well. So, I think this is a pretty reasonable pricing plan for 2024. Anyone want to make a motion to approve these rates as presented?
I'll make a motion.
I'll
Okay.
second, Gary.
All right, Gary, thank you. And I think if there's no more discussion, we can move on to a vote. And I'll do a roll call vote because this is one of the more important things that we do in our business. And so I will start with just say yay or nay, or abstain, I suppose, when I call your name. So starting off with Alan Dutton.
Yes, A.
Rich Dellinger.
Yes, aye, and thanks for all the work to put into all the major players. Appreciate it.
Denise Brown.
Yes.
Gary Leeds.
Yes.
I see Robert Stowers. I know he mentioned he had to step away at some point, but I don't know if he's here right now. Give him a second to respond. Okay. And TJ Trimboli, I know he was also having to step away at times if he's available. Okay. Well, I will cast a yes vote, and that would be 5 yes votes. And I think we can treat Robert and TJ as abstains for now. And that motion would pass. So these fees are approved for the 2024 season. And yes, to echo Richard, thank you for everybody who put work into defining these and analyzing the impacts.
Can I just ask one last question? When do we these on the website, I guess?
Sorry, you went. I think you went out a little bit, Gary. Can you repeat that?
When do we actually publish these on the website?
Well, whenever we want. They're already there. Paul put them up last week as part of we're required to do so. And they would probably basically stay there. Maybe Paul, we just change it to instead of proposed rates to simply 2024 rates. And then once, for me as an accountant, I like to make it easy. January 1, everything goes on sale. We could theoretically, we have in the past put things up on sale in December, but I prefer to wait till January 1, and then Paul just would adjust everything in the computer and on the online store with the new pricing, and then everyone comes in, and that first week they purchase a lot of these.
Okay.
But we have sold some in the past as holiday presents and gifts. I think. Didn't we start in the 50s?
We did. There's been times that we decided, after this meeting, basically to put everything up then, the next day. So
I think that's what we should do because I think some people are going to want to buy these right away. Maybe for gifts.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
I would just build in enough time, Paul, to make sure that you can update both G1 and the online store with the new pricing and everything, and have that all done before we officially open it up.
Okay, yeah, it might take.
Yeah, so I'm gonna just say let's let the operational experts, Paul, kind of get through everything, and if it's ready before Jan 1st, great. If not, Jan 1st seems like a good date. But earlier is better. People can get these while they're in the holiday buying spirit.
Great.
Okay. That'll close off that agenda item, and the next one, while I pull it up, was, I believe, discussion of the restaurant concessionaire selection update. I think, Alan, you were going to speak to this initially.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman, for tasking me with this job. How nice of you. A couple of goals we looked at that we want to look at for this. One was to involve the city, I think, in using their purchasing RFP procedures to help us out with this, and also to not only use the authority but other members of the Oak Hills community to come to help us with our decisions. So we did approach the city and have been working with the purchasing department there. They produced an RFP with our help. Jim has been working very closely with the city on this. We have produced the RFP. We'll talk a bit more about that in a second. And I actually put together and asked several individuals to, as a committee of, I think there's 7 of us, myself in charge of the committee, and we had 2 other Oak Hills Authority members, Robert Stowers and Rich Dellinger. The 3 of us are the authority members, and then we had 4 members of the public. We have Steve Shepard, who's obviously knows more about Oak Hills than a lot of us. We have Anne Van Gelden, who is on the Women's Association. We have Bob Petticini representing the Men's Association, and Andy Glazer, who is a local property developer and also uses the club an awful lot and owns a facility, a hospitality facility. So this is the committee basically we put together. And our goal is to have a recommendation to the Oak Hills Park Authority prior to the January 18th meeting, so that we'll be able to make a recommendation to you for a vote at the January 18th meeting is our goal. So where are we at this moment in time? We have had 1 meeting to acquaint ourselves and just to get to know each other and to chat in general. The RFPs went out, and I have to be careful because the process is still open. So we can't talk about actual details and names and things like this, but the RFPs went out, and we have received 3 back. They were due back on December 14th. We have received 3 RFPs from 3 various businesses, and they were opened, and we have set up meetings with these 3 businesses to meet with the committee. I think that will be on January the 6th. The RFPs have been distributed to the committee members. We are in the process of looking at them, and we are scoring them as well using the city. We're using the city's help on the RFP process. We will interview the candidates, and then we will get together and we will talk about it as a committee, and then we will make a final recommendation to the authority prior to the January 18th meeting. And Jim Holliday, of course, is also a member of that committee, the staff member of that committee. So that's pretty much where we are. I'm encouraged about what has happened so far, and I look forward to meeting individually, or meeting with the candidates that are coming forward. And that's my report, Mr. Chairman. Any questions?
No questions. But yeah, I'd say it's great progress, and very good to hear that there's 3 expressing the level of interest to go through with the proposal process. So it's a good set to kind of.
I will say these candidates have come forward. They have looked. They've inspected. Jim, you've personally given tours of. If you want to dip in here, Jim, you have met with the candidates and they've walked through and seen and been pretty thorough, I think, in their due diligence. Is that correct, Jim?
100%.
Thank you.
Can I ask you just one question?
Of course.
How are we handling the tennis courts in connection with this restaurant proposal? Are they included as a customer? Or
they are included as a customer, yeah. Obviously, the requirements was the halfway house, was the beverage cart, was the restaurant. but the tennis is also included, and there are some creative suggestions coming forward as part of the RFPs that we've received, which I think will include the tennis court operation as well, Gary.
Okay, great.
That is
And
good. Okay, anything else on this topic?
So at our next meeting, with a little luck, we may be voting on the recommendation.
Yeah, that is really good. The timing seems also good to have someone in potentially operational by some sort of spring start. So that's really positive.
That's the goal. Yep.
Thank you for the effort. I mean, I know it was a long process to get to RFP, but it seems to be going pretty well and quickly in the RFP process. So,
And I'll just say kudos to Jim Holiday for all the work he's done in this thing. I think it's the number of places he's contacted and all the groundwork he's laid has really helped this process move along. So,
Yeah, just to echo that, it's great to have someone on premise that can walk the candidates through and answer questions and just be there. So it's been great.
and so proposal window has closed, and it's been closed for 5 days, and 3 is the number.
The RFP is closed on December 14th.
Right.
Now we're in the review process. Which we currently have. The documents that they've sent to us by the city, review process, and then we will then actually meet with them. Obviously, with the holidays, it's kind of tough to get together. So I believe it's January the 6th. I think the committee gets together and reviews the 3 candidates.
Oh, that's great news. I mean, it's
Okay.
really positive, good news. Thank you for your committee.
Yes.
Thank you.
Even so far, I know it's been a more successful RFP process than we've had in the past. So that's it's very good news.
Yeah, I'd like to thank Robert Stowes for helping us with this, because he's a pro at this. I mean, I don't know if Robert's still here or not, but just he's gone through this process and has helped us out a lot with this process. So Robert, thank you.
I'll have to hear that on YouTube. Did we actually have an RFP when we had the last restaurant?
Not the last one, but I believe the time before that there was one done.
So for DDS,
18.
there was not an RFP put out, correct?
Correct.
No. Okay, I guess it's worth the effort.
Yeah. Okay. Only item remaining on the agenda is to adjourn. And so can we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second?
I'll second.
Second,
Okay. Any opposed?
Yeah, right.
All right. Thank you everyone for joining. Happy holidays. Happy New Year if we don't catch up before then. And excited to hear how the meetings go on January 6th and the other RFP goes on January 11th. And some good things happening.
Enjoy the sunshine, Joe.
Yeah. Happy holidays. all.
holidays.
Enjoy, happy
Thank you for your time.
holidays.
Night.
Merry
Feel better,
Bye,
Christmas,
everyone.
Merry
well.
Christmas.
Other Joe, yeah.
Happy
Have
New
a
Year,
safe trip.
Happy New Year.
bye-bye.
Bye.